Welcome back to Business Law course, and this is the continuation of the banking law topic. Still with me, your lecturer, Sujana Donandi speaking. And for this part, we are going to discuss about the settlement of bad debts or bad credit in banking. As the previous meeting, we have learned about the activities of the banking and then the classification, and also we talk about the credit in the bank. And now we're talking what if there is a problem in the conduction of the settlement in a credit. Let's say that the customer here and the bank has bound themselves to each other, that the customer here as the debtor has an obligation upon the bank for the money 100 million, for example. This is a loan, and the money should be repaid back in 3 years, for example, and also paid with interest. But after 1 year, let's say that there is a bad credit, that the debtor cannot pay the money anymore. Well, then there are several process that you, if you are the entrepreneurs as the bank, can follow based on the perspective of law. Yeah, there are some procedure you could follow, and we distinguish the procedure into two classification. The first one is the non-litigation procedure. The second one is the litigation or litigative. Yeah, litigation procedure. Every time you read or hear about litigation, the word litigation means the procedure in the court. So doing the cases or settle the cases in the court. So we let the judges to settle who is right, who is wrong. So if litigation means the procedure in the court, so non-litigation, it means the settlement out of the court. Firstly, you have to follow the non-litigation process first. In civil law, in business law especially, you cannot just directly sue the debtor to the litigation process. You cannot just directly go to the court when there is a bad debt. The law said if someone is committed to a negligence or a failure in doing their performance in the contract, or maybe in the business, they do some things that bring disadvantage to the others, which is called tort, for example, in tort, for example. So if you are the one who get disadvantage because of the tort or because of this one, there is a contract and one of the party cannot do the contract, the obligation in the contract, which is, as we already run, it's event of default, right? So the problem in the business can be because of default, which is one of the party do not do their performance in the contract, or maybe because of tort. The difference is in tort, there is no contract as the basis of the sue, but the action is the basis. For example, uh, someone is building a house on your land. Let's say that it happens. So there is no contract between you and the ones, but because his action is bring you disadvantage economically, because that land is worth it economically for you, so then it is a tort. In Indonesia, we call it perbuatan melawan hukum based on Article 1365 Indonesian Civil Code, KUH Perdata. Yeah. So whether it is based on tort or default, everybody who is committed to the default or tort, when someone is in this situation upon you, yeah, someone is default upon you, or maybe they are doing a tort against you. So the law said they must be warned first. You must give some warning before you go to the court. That's mandatory, because if the ones do the default or the tort and then directly you sue to the court will say this lawsuit is premature. Why it's premature? Because you you have not give some warning to the defendants. So you have to follow this one. This is the one that we recognize in Indonesia as somasi. Yeah. So you have to do the somasi first, and even after the somasi has been given, the defendant doesn't want to pay or doesn't want to do their obligation, then you can go to the litigation process. Especially in banking, there are several types of non-litigation process. One of them is rescheduling. So rescheduling means change that only related to the schedule of payment and or period of time, including the grace period and the change to the amount credit repayment. Yeah. So here, when the debtor failed to pay the installment, usually the bank will call the debtor and they will discuss why and what's the reason. Then they will try to find a solution, and one of the solution is rescheduling. So maybe in the beginning the installment is for 5 years, but because now in the pandemic, for example, many people is falling down. Yeah, the business actors are falling down. They cannot pay the installment in the bank, for example. So the bank can do the rescheduling. So they give extension of duration of the payment, for example. So this is one of the solution. This is one of the settlement of the bad debt or bad credits. The second one is reconditioning. So the reconditioning is concerned on the change of some or all of the terms of credit that are not only confined to change the scheduled payment, not only about the time, but also the interest rates, the suspension of some or all of the interest and other requirement. Let's say in this coronavirus situation, many debtors fail to pay their installment to the bank, for example. So the bank can do the reconditioning. So beside the rescheduling, they can also do the reconditioning at the same time. For example, the credit is for 5 years with the installment is 10 million per month. Now, because of the coronavirus, many business is affected and many worker is affected by the situation. So maybe they fail to pay 10 million per month. So the bank would call them, what is the problem and how much you can still pay. So this questions, how much you can still pay, this is reconditioning. Yeah? And also the interest could be decreased, reduced from the regular interest. So maybe the bank will let you to pay only 3 million per month, and the interest per month will also be decreased, but the duration become longer, maybe become 12 years. So this is one of the solution. Yeah? This is one of the solution. This is one of the settlement. So rescheduling, conditioning. And the third one is restructuring. Restructuring is a change of the structure of the credit. It could be including the additional funding or conversion or part of interest in become main new credit, and or bullet conversion all or part of equity loans to bank or take another party to add participation. So restructuring here is focused on the solution in helping the debtor to keep on survive. So let's say that the bank see that actually the debtor is a very committed person, and also actually the idea of the business is quite brilliant, but for one or two technical problems, the business is not going well for now. But the bank still believe that this man could help it, could make it in the future day. So that it's open for an opportunity that the bank could even give more money, more loan to the debtor to help them to rebuild the business. And with the possibility of rebuild the business, then the debtor could pay the money back to the bank as the creditor. So restructuring here is to change the structure of the loan, of the credit. Or maybe the other solution is to find another additional fund from another resources, or maybe to find a jointly debtor. So there would be another debtor to to be joined with the existing debtor. So this is restructuring. Yeah. And the fourth one is liquidation. Remember when I told you at the last part of this topic of the banking law, that one of the criteria that should be assessed by the bank whether they want to approve or reject your application is collateral, right? If you want to asking or propose for 100 million to the bank, I told you last meeting, the bank must make sure that you have something worth it more than 100 million. Maybe your house, maybe your car, and that would be the collateral, the jaminan in Indonesia. So this jaminan or this asset, which is yours, it could be executed if you fail to pay the credit. Let's say that your debt already rescheduled, already reconditioned, already restructured, but you still cannot pay, and the bank maybe consider that no more chance for you, and the payment is always also due date. So the bank will do the liquidation as the settlement to finish the problems, which is means the bank will auction, will sell your collateral, your house, for example. So they will offer it to the public in an auctions action. So, and then who will buy it? And then the money, there will be some money here. Let's say that your house is auction, and then the price at its auction is 150, while actually your debt to the bank, yeah, still 70 something, for example. Yeah, maybe you already paid 30 million before. So the 70 million plus the interest will be taken from this 150, and the rest of them will be given to you as the debtor. And sometimes the debtor is a stubborn debtor. They even do not want to be liquidated, or they don't want to be reconditioned. They just don't want to pay. So sometimes the bank could also do this one, the somasi, the warning, yeah, that they have to pay the credit, the installment. And if this non-litigation is final deadlock, let's say that the debtor against the solution, which is including the scheduling, reconditioning, restructuring, and liquidation. So the debtor disagree, or the debtor do some fight to against the actions that going to be done by the bank. So the both parties can go through the litigation process. So they can finish it to the court, and the court will make the settlement with the verdict of the judges. So what will the verdict of the judges on the case? So whether you are the debtor, whether you are the creditor, this is very important for you to understand that everything, again, is based on the contract. But remember, even though there is a bad credit and you are the bank, let's say one day you are working in a bank, or maybe you establish a bank, you cannot just directly sue the debtor to the court. You have to do non-litigation procedure first, as well as the warning, the written notification to the debtor, that if the notification is accepted, and then based on the notification the debtor then willing to do their obligation, they want to pay, so no problem, right? So you don't need to go to the court then. But if they still doesn't want to follow, doesn't want to perform their obligation as they have committed in the contract, then after that you can go to the court, and you can let the judges to settle it, and the decision of the judges, which is the verdict of the judges, is binding. So everybody, whether you or the customer, they should do it. And if you don't do it, you are against the court verdict, and it can be a criminal action. So that's what you need to know about this. This is very legal issue, yeah. And also you have to pay attention on what is the bank liability and what is your liability when you committed to a credit loan in bank. So after this, we are going to discuss one more subtopic. I hope you still can keep it up and try your best to understand the discussion. Thank you. God bless.